What's up, guys? Name's Andrew. This will be my first video posting on YouTube. I've been going through, seeing a lot of do-it-yourself stuff, a bunch of do-it-yourself ideas on for kayaking, and I just wanted to share with y'all the things that I've made. Maybe it can give you an idea of something that you're looking for that you can make yourself for your kayak. I recently just got into kayaking. I've been kayaking for about a month, and it's pretty expensive. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted, I needed, and I just didn't want to fork over the cash for it, so I found ways to make it myself. But just getting straight into it, the kayak that I have doesn't have rod holders on it, so I made the milk crate, which if you kayak, you know about them. There's tons of different ways to make them. It's just your standard milk crate, nothing special about this one. Just this right here is the store-bought rod holders with the slots for your knife, your bait knife, and a little tool if you need it. This is just screwed on, simply screwed on by two screws right here. It's still loose. I'm probably going to zip tie it down here to make it a little bit sturdier. But I did add these in the back. These are homemade. These are just a piece of 1.5" PVC. I was supposed to route out the edge. Let's see, you see that red line down there? I was supposed to cut out that little slip for the rod so it can slide in, but I didn't do it. I'll probably cut this flush with the basket, make a lid, give it a little more organization, and also make sure my stuff stays in. You want your stuff to stay in. The only thing that I did to attach this was get small bungees. I'm not too sure on the size of them, but I just looped it around to the bottom, looped it through the back. Let's see, use the purple one. Looped it up right here on the side, and then back up to the top, and I clamped them together. Now that holds it really sturdy in place. I've taken it out already, and it held it in place, constantly putting the rod in and out, and it worked fine. What that's good for is in the event that you don't need these two back ones, or you don't want to mess with them, you can just slide them out. And you slide them out, they're fine. Leave them in your truck or leave them at home. And the bungees stay there, so if you do want to put them back in, you can just pull your bungee straps, slide them back in, and you're good to go. But again, milk crate, there's tons of different ways. There's even better milk crates out there, store-bought and made, but you look it up and customize it yourself how you want it. That was the first thing that I had done. Well, technically I didn't do it, my cousin did, and it came with the kayak when I bought it off him. But that was the first thing that I had. The next thing was the kayak that I have. It doesn't have its own pull cord or leash deal with it, and so I made that with mine. All I did was get a piece of rope that I had with my truck. I had like 100 feet, and I don't need 100 feet to tie down stuff, so I cut off a good, maybe about 5 feet, about 4 or 5 foot sections to make the knots and everything, and then I cut the excess. But anyway, all I did was took a piece of 1/2" PVC, cut a little section. I just gripped it on my hand, marked it, and cut that piece. And then I made a loop here. I'm not too sure what knot I used, I don't remember. But that's the knot. Maybe y'all can tell just by looking at it. And that is about a foot section here, all the way knotted to the carabiner. And this will clip into the handle, so I can just pull it behind me without having to bend over that much. Yeah, it's a short walk, obviously, just to pull it so you can sit on it. But this does make a difference when you come in after the 5-6 hour kayaking trip and you're tired. So this just makes it a little bit easier, a little more comfort than necessity. But I liked it. I liked the way it performed. It worked pretty good when I used it. So I'm gonna keep taking that. The next thing that I made, which I do recommend it, because it was awesome and it made a hell of a lot of difference when I was kayaking, was the stakeout pole. Now, I got this idea from Rex Del Rey. If you look that guy up, he's got some good stuff on his channel, and It's a real simple build. It's super simple. You're gonna slap yourself for saying, why didn't I think of that? But all it is a broomstick from Lowe's, commercial broomstick. If you look in here, it's a 1-inch PVC T. You slide this on there and push it down as hard as you can so it can get kind of a snug fit. It's a slip on this side, a slip on this side, but on this piece right here, it's actually thread, so it's gonna bite a little bit into the wood. What you do with that, I think he glues it. I didn't, but you're gonna put this on there, hold it there, and you're gonna drill a hole straight through. And what I did was I drilled a 1/4-inch hole with the for my 1/4-inch a bolt, stainless steel bolt with a lock nut on there, and I tightened that as hard as I could, as tight as I could, so that way it doesn't move, it doesn't wiggle or shake. And then it's on the broomstick itself. I didn't do anything to it. It's about 5.5 feet, and it's already tapered at the edge here. So that's perfect right there. You don't need to trim it down or make it a sharper point. It worked fine for me. The only thing I did do was just add duct tape. That's it. More of a grip and a look deal than anything, a necessity that you have to put duct tape on. But I did wrap it up with 550 paracord. This is not a handle. This is what I have looped to my kayak, so it's tight in here, so it'll hold right here. And this loop right here is what I'm gonna clip to my kayak with this carabiner. But this works amazing. I love the way it is. It's way better than an anchor, because the anchor, you have to worry about scaring the fish, you have to worry about throwing it over, you have to worry about getting snagged, pulling it in, then you have your line everywhere. This, I pull it in, throw my line in the little side pocket next to me, and I'm off. And then when I get there, I see a fish. Say you're sight casting while you're out there kayaking, you see a fish, all you do is you real quick stab this into the water, hardly even makes a splash, stab this into water, reach back, grab your pole, cast it out, get a fish. But this, do recommend it. Awesome. If you need a tutorial, Rex Del Rey already has it. Don't want to steal that guy's thunder. And that was that. I really like that. The other thing that I built, or not built, but I made, is the anchor trolley system. Now this, I want to say it's about 16 feet of paracord. The kayak that I have is a 10-footer, but it has D-rings about 2 feet away from the edge. So I want to say it's about 8 foot down, 8 foot back, so roughly 16 feet, 550. All it is a clothesline pulley, and it's plastic, and the rivet here is aluminum, so it shouldn't rust. I fish in stainless, so I needed the aluminum, but it's good. And then it has a loop already where the carabiner goes. This piece is going to clip to my back handle, and then I have the 550 cord. It's going to run through the side, and it's going to run all the way. And if you've been looking at anchor trolley systems, and you know more or less how they work, you pretty much have this ring, you pull, and it's going to change the placement of your anchor. That's good if you're fishing one way, fish are popping the other way, and you pull the anchor, you can reposition yourself. But back to this, the 550 cord, it's going to run all the way through to this carabiner. And if you notice, this one doesn't have a pulley. The reason why is I did it to where it's tight, so the tension is going to be on this one, and the pulley is going to be the smoother end. So the tension's on this one, it's going to hold the tension, and it's going to keep it right where you set it. So that's what you want. You don't want pulleys. You can do pulleys on both sides, but you don't really want that because it's going to be too smooth, and if say the winds change or anything, you can be repositioning yourself automatically. The ring, my friend that I go kayaking with, he doesn't have a ring. He just made a loop here, and that's what he puts his carabiner to. He puts the anchor line through here, and it works fine for him. I've seen stainless steel rings that you can put, welded rings. I personally didn't want to do that because I couldn't find stainless steel rings. They were sold out, and I didn't want to do the hassle of buying a regular ring and it rusting out. So what I did was this is just a piece of PVC. I had 2-inch PVC lying around, and I cut it, and I cut it fairly thin piece, and it's still sturdy, still good. It won't rust. It's not gonna corrode on you or mess up. but this is the loop that I use. And what I'm going to do is that line on the stakeout pole, I'm going to feed it through here, put the carabiner on this end and clip it, so that way I can reposition this. Or if I throw my anchor, which I probably won't, but if I throw my anchor, I'll do the same thing with this, so that way I can reposition my anchor. And it works pretty smooth. I have not taken it on the water yet. I've just built it. I've tried it out sitting on my kayak and messed with it, and it worked pretty good. So I expect the same result on the water. The next thing that I made was a landing net. Now say, if you don't know what a landing net is, it's just a simple hand net, so you can catch a big fish. Now, yeah, I know some of y'all probably won't see this financially saving anything, but I spent $2.50 and I made this net. $2.50 and I have a landing net. And it's a pretty good landing net, pretty good size. I landed, when I went out this past time, what I needed the net for was a 25-inch red, and it scooped it up like nothing. No problem whatsoever. I made this out of PVC. It's a 5-foot section on the ring, 1/2 inch, and it's a 1 inch section on the handle. Now the handle size, that's your preference. I had one that was about this long, but I didn't like the way it felt, and I drilled the holes wrong, so it wasn't sturdy. So I tossed that one, made another one, and then capped the end right here. Now the cap, I would probably use a plug. You can use the plug with the CPV or with the PVC cement, and pop that in there. And you're set, and it's flush. You won't have this little lip right here. I did find this a little problem on the rod holders. If this lip passes through, you'll have a problem of it hitting and getting stuck a little bit. That's the only thing I would change on it. How I shaped it was a heat gun. I was looking a lot on this guy on YouTube. His name is Backyard Boyer. He makes a lot of PVC bows, so I learned a lot of flattening techniques and how to use the heat gun on your PVC from him. You can go do that, and you can check out some of the stuff. The stuff's pretty neat. But all I did was I heated it up to where it's pliable right here, and I clamped this piece flat. And I just worked one side at a time. I clamped this flat, and then I made the edge right here, or the angle right here, as sharp as I could so it can open up. And then I didn't work a whole section at a time. I worked 1 foot section at a time. 1 foot section, and sometimes even 6-inch sections at a time. Just hand molded it, so that way I can get the roundness shape of a regular net. Now I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked, and I could not find a tutorial on how to do these because the only thing that I could find was actual wood. Now, those are badass. I would have done that if I could have. If I had the tools, and the sheer amount of clamps that you needed was ridiculous. But I didn't. I had a heat gun, and I had PVC laying around, and I had $2.50. So I made this. I did this, molded this from a shape of what I knew off the top of my head a net looked like. And then once I was done with that, I did the same edge, same way, heated it up, clamped it shut right here, but I lined it up with this side. Now the handle is 1 inch. And I clamped it right here. I heated it up. I marked to where I wanted it, the neck to sit, so it can be sturdy. You're gonna want it to sit about this high up, so it's sturdy. The other one I had, it was about this high up, and it wasn't sturdy at all. So that's the one I chunked. But anyway, you're gonna heat up the handle, and you're gonna set a clamp right here and set a clamp right here, and clamp it as tight as you can. The reason being is because if you see right here, it'll make that little groove, which is where this was, and that groove's gonna set this in pretty good, and it'll hold it there too when you're screwing and unscrewing these bolts. The bolts, the reason they're so long is because that's the only stainless steel size that I had lying around the house, so that's the only reason they're long. I would cut them, but I don't want them to mess up the threads, so I'm probably just gonna wait till I get some shorter ones, and when I remember to get some shorter ones, and change them out then. But it's stainless steel, and I put thread lock or thread seal on the nuts, tighten them as tight as I could on these two, and then that was my net. What I did on the edge, I already showed you all a cap. Like I said, I would probably use a plug, but on this end, on a kayak, you're going to want your stuff to float. Now on this end, there was no way I can get a cap in there, So what I did was I just siliconed the crap out of it. I went about half an inch to about 3/4 of an inch into the hole, and I just siliconed all the way through, and then just layers and layers and layers until I reached the top. And then I flattened it out with a flathead, so it's not nothing protruding, nothing coming out here, and it's pretty flat in there, and it's silicone, so I mean it sealed it. When I took this out, I threw it in the water with the leash attached to it. I threw it in the water to see if it floated, and it did. It worked really good. And like I said already, I used it to land a 25-inch red, and he slid in there no problem. It was easy. That was this one. So for $250 and some spare parts and a little bit of elbow grease, I got it landing there, and it works pretty good. It's not even that heavy at all. So yeah, I almost knocked over everything. The other thing that I've done, it's not really a build, more of a tip, is the anchor. What I did with my anchor is, like a lot of people I would assume, I first tied it here. Now where I fish, it's grassy. I won't really have that much of a problem of it getting stuck, but in the event that it does hit a branch or something that was in the water, I could get stuck, and I would, if I pull hard enough, I might lose my anchor. So after reading and seeing a lot of videos that I've seen where they tie it right here. They tie the knot right here on the tip, and they run it through the top, and they zip tie it here. Now instead of zip tying, because those things, the ones that I have, but anyways, are pretty thick. You would need, I think I would rip the line or rip the paracord before I rip the zip tie. So what I did was I went with 25 pound fishing line, mono, and I tied a loop around there and tied that to there. So if it does get snagged, I give it a good yank, pops the line, and then it'll pull from the top, which close your clamps, and you get your anchor back. And then the other good thing about that is you don't have to keep going through zip ties. You can just go through maybe a foot of fishing line. But that's all I have, guys. If you have any other ideas, post the link down at the bottom, or simply comment an idea that I could probably do. So like I said, I'm still just starting, and I like doing do-it-yourself stuff. So hopefully some of this stuff give you an idea and inspiration, and have fun.